A study of young children found that those with more body fat tended to have more controlling mothers. The San Francisco Chronicle concluded that, quote, parents of fat kids should lighten up. Was this an observational study or a randomized controlled experiment? So what's the key difference between an observational study and a controlled experiment? In an observational study, the subjects or the participants choose which group they're in, if they're in the treatment group or the control group. Whereas in a controlled experiment, the experimentalists choose. So what would be the treatment group and the control group here just depends on the design of the experiment. Maybe the control group is mothers that aren't controlling, or the control group is kids that have less body fat. But regardless, the way this is described, it's observational. They're just looking at, okay, we have a controlling mother here, however they conclude that, and this controlling mother has a child or doesn't have a child that has a lot of body fat. The experimentalists have no control over who's in the control group and who's in the treatment group. So this is an observational study. Did the study find an association between mother's behavior and her child's level of body fat? Yes, there is an association. That's the key word here. Association doesn't necessarily mean causation, but the study seemed to show that, look, we have mothers here that are controlling, however they determine that, and a large or larger percentage of these controlling mothers seem to have overweight children. So there's an association there. But again, association does not necessarily mean causation. If controlling behavior by the mother causes children to eat more, would that explain an association between controlling behavior by the mother and her child's level of body fat? Okay, if this causation, if the mother's controlling behavior is what's causing children to do what? To eat more. That's a key word too, because you could definitely not only associate, but even attribute as a cause eating more to higher levels of body fat. This would explain the association between the controlling behavior by the mother and her child's level of body fat. Yeah, it would. If you could prove that controlling behavior by the mother causes children to eat more, then that would explain the association. Suppose there is a gene which causes obesity. Would that explain the association? No, it wouldn't explain the association, because what's the association we're talking about? The association between the mother's controlling behavior and obesity. A gene has nothing to do with a mother's controlling behavior. A gene that the child has nothing to do with the mother's controlling behavior. Well, at least a gene that the child has that's directly causes obesity. Maybe a gene that makes the child prone to anxiety, and so then the anxiety mixed with the mother's controlling behavior causes obesity. I mean, something like that. But we're talking about a gene that causes obesity, has nothing to do with the mother's controlling behavior. Can you think of another way to explain the association? Okay, well, maybe the child has a problem overeating. That's the starting point. And so then the mother is becoming more demanding to eat the child to eat less, trying to control that behavior, you could say, which leads to a conclusion that the mother is controlling, something like that. I mean, to me, this just depends on the study. We have to have more details about the study. If you go ask the mother's parents, was she a controlling child growing up? Like, is her personality inherently controlling? Well, then, okay, that's a start. Like, you want to make sure that you're not introducing confounding variables into how you're determining whether or not the mother is controlling. If you can find that the mother has a personality apart from her child that's just a controlling type of personality, then that would have less confounding variables when you're trying to analyze something like this. Do the data support the Chronicle's advice on child rearing? Well, we don't have all the details of the study, but it seems that they've shown an association, but not any causation. But again, it just depends on the details. I mean, if someone had a study that was a well-done study that said that we interviewed parents of mothers, and this large number of parents of mothers said that their child has always been controlling, their child being the current mother, and then like 95% of those mothers have obese children. Well, I mean, you know, it just depends on the numbers, assuming that, you know, those numbers are accurate. But just finding a pattern in some data where you got these mothers that are said to be stricter, a larger percentage of more strict mothers that you're calling controlling tend to have a kid or kids that are overweight. That's association. You need more information to prove that there's causation there and not just association.